General Chukwuemeka Ojukwu was a Nigerian military officer who served as the first president of the Republic of Biafra during the Nigerian Civil War. He fled to the Ivory Coast when his final base was taken by the federal soldiers. Many people praised him as a hero, while some people called him a coward who ran away from war. In this video, we shall be looking into the life of Ojukwu to ascertain whether he was actually a hero or a coward. I urge you to stick to the end of this story. Ojukwu was born on 4th November 1933 at Zungeru in northern Nigeria to Sir Louis Odumegwu Ojukwu, who was the richest man in Nigeria at that time. Ojukwu was educated at one of the leading secondary schools in Nigeria, King's College, Lagos. Later, he was sent to 3 different colleges in England. After he completed his education in England, he returned to colonial Nigeria in 1956. Against the wishes of his father, who wanted him to attend law school and join a family business in some capacity, Ojukwu decided to first work in the Eastern Nigerian Civil Service as an assistant district officer. Then, in a move likely designed to enrage his father even further, he joined the colonial armed forces known as the Queen's Own Nigeria Regiment. Ojukwu went back to England to attend the Royal Military Academy, and after a while, he returned to Nigeria and joined the officer corps and rapidly rose through the military ranks. He was accorded a great deal of respect by his military colleagues who admired his pedigree and education. When the January 15 boys struck in 1966, Ojukwu was a lieutenant colonel leading a battalion in Kano. It was to his credit that the coup lost much steam in the north. He was appointed the military governor of the Eastern region by Aguri Ironsi, who took over as the head of state after the coup was crushed. When Ironsi was assassinated in the counter-coup, Ojukwu wanted the military hierarchy to be preserved. This means that the most senior in the army, Brigadier Babafemi Ogundepe, was supposed to be the head of state. But the coup plotters wanted Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon, who was in the same rank as Ojukwu, to be made the head of state. The aftermath of this led to a deadlock between Ojukwu and Gowon, leading to a sequence of events that resulted in the Nigerian Civil War. The aftermath of the January 15 coup saw a mass execution of Igbos living in the north and in the west. In a bid to stop the killing and resolve the crisis, Ojukwu, the military governor of the Eastern region, and Yakubu Gowon, the Nigerian head of state, agreed to hold a peace conference at Aburi, Ghana. But this meeting failed to stop the crisis. Ojukwu accused Gowon of breaching the agreement and went on to declare the independence of Eastern Nigeria. This new state was called the Republic of Biafra. On 6th July 1967, Gowon declared war on Biafra. After 2.5 years of fighting, millions of Biafran civilians were reported dead, mostly as a result of starvation and indiscriminate bombing by the Nigerian forces. On 9th January 1970, when it was so obvious that the war was lost, Ojukwu handed over to his deputy and fled to the Ivory Coast, where President Felix Houphouët-Boigny, who had recognized Biafra, granted him a political asylum. After 12 years in exile, Ojukwu returned to Nigeria after he was granted a pardon by President Shehu Shagari. In 1983, he ran for a Senate position. The official tally showed he lost by 12,000 votes, but the court attempted to reverse the ruling, citing fraud in the results. Unfortunately for him, the Buhari coup happened and the Second Republic ended. In the early 1984, the Buhari regime jailed hundreds of political figures, including Ojukwu. He was released after 10 months in prison. In the First Republic, Ojukwu contested the presidency in 2003 and 2007, but like the Senate attempts in 1983, he also lost. On 26 November 2011, the shocking news of his death was announced. He died in the United Kingdom after a brief illness. The Nigerian Army accorded him the highest military accolade and conducted a funeral parade for him in Abuja on 27 February 2012. Before his final interment, he had an elaborate week-long funeral ceremony where his body was carried around the 5 eastern states, including Abuja. Memorial services and public events were also held in his honor in several places across Nigeria, including Lagos and Niger State, his birthplace. His funeral was attended by President Goodluck Jonathan of Nigeria and ex-President Jerry Lawrence of Ghana, among other personalities. Ojukwu's escape during the war was a necessary move because his death would have been a total defeat for his people. His survival gave his people a glimpse of hope. How he was welcomed after he returned from exile and how he was mourned when he died tells it all. A man raised in a privileged environment got enlisted into the military against his father's wish and went on to fight for his people can be anything but not a coward.
Another Savior, holy, 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 Ojukwu. Another Savior, holy, 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 Ojukwu. Another Savior.
A lot of people will say, but you were leading the first one. Yes, I led the first one. And I will say to everyone, I led proudly the first one. I don't think a second one is necessary. We should have learned from that first one. Otherwise, the dead would have been to no avail. It would all have been in vain.